Hello, I'm going to go over how to build a healer for PvE ESO content. So let's get started with the attributes. On every healer, I recommend putting all 64 points into your Magicka pool. This way you're going to have a very large Magicka pool to draw from. It's going to increase your spells effectiveness, your heals, all that are going to be bigger with a bigger pool. So that's where you want to put all your Magicka points. The bigger pool you have, the longer it's going to take for you to run out of resources. With the Magicka recovery and the reduction of spell costs that we're going to talk about later here. Next, let's talk about the Mundus. The ritual is by far the best one to use. This increases your healing done, and you can increase the healing that you get from this by wearing Divine's gear. That's also another part of this is you want to make sure you wear Divines on every body piece that you can. I know some healers have chosen to put Infused on here and make their Magicka glyphs bigger. It really doesn't make that large of a difference between what you get with this glyph versus the Infused glyph. So it's always best to use a Ritual Mundus over the other, or excuse me, Divine's Gear over Infused. Next, the race you want to use is the Breton. This is the best one by far. You get maximum Magicka, you get spell resistance and Magicka recovery with the spell attunement passive, and then you also get a reduction in Magicka spell costs. So that really helps your sustain and not running out of resources. This is by far the best race to use. And next, we'll talk about gear. I would recommend being in light armor, all 7 pieces being in light armor. Now, the reason why is if you look at the armor passives, the bonuses you get are you get a reduced roll dodge cost. So if you need to get out of a mechanic, you get a reduction in roll dodge. You also take less magical damage, which in most cases the area of effect like flame, shock, and frost attacks from enemies, those are all going to be spell resistance, and this is going to increase that. You also get a reduced movement speed cost, and your break free is also reduced. So if you need to break free from something, this is also going to make that cheaper. The penalties are you take more physical damage and you don't have you have a higher block cost, and it decreases the amount of block that you could have. But we'll cover that part a little bit later here in the build. But with all 7 pieces being light armor, you're going to get a reduction in snare effectiveness, and then also your sprint cost is reduced. You also have a reduction in Magicka cost abilities by 14%, and then your recovery is also higher with Magicka, or excuse me, with light gear. Your Magicka recovery is increased by 28%. You get spell resistance, which is again that area attacks with elemental damage, the flame, shock, and fire, all of that. And then you also get a critical rating. This is going to help your how often your heals critically hit. So this is 219, if in case you don't know, is 1% critical chance. So the 1538 is actually 7% critical chance. So then you also get penetration. So if you're going to attack something, you're going to have more penetration with the light armor. So those are the reasons I suggest having light armor. Now let's talk about potions. Get into my slottables here. Sorry, I'm not real great at paying attention where I need to go. This is the best potion to use, by far. The Essence of Spell Power. This gives you Major Sorcery, which is going to increase your spells by 20%, your effectiveness of your spells. It also gives you Major Prophecy, which is going to increase your critical rating, which affects your strikes, your damage, and your healing. And that equates to 12% right there. And then you also get a restoration immediately of a Magicka pool, and it increases your Magicka recovery by 30%. Now, your potion cooldown is 45 seconds, so these all last with 100% uptime as long as you have the passive filled in from alchemy called medicinal use, which is right here. This is another one you can fill in, snake blood. If you ever happen to have a potion that has a negative effect of some kind, this will reduce that to where it doesn't affect you at all. So if there's a positive effect to a potion, but then a negative effect, you can use that to fill in and use the snake blood to eliminate that. In terms of food, on all of my healer builds, every one of them, I use the Ghastly Eyeball. And the reason why, it gives you the most Magicka and mag recovery out of a food choice. I know some people talk about using Witch Mothers. Honestly, you don't need extra health in a fight if you know how to manage the mechanics, and you also have a warden in the group like this one here, for example. This will also give you 10% more max health when you are healed from the maturation passive right here. So all I have to do, I right now have 18,300 health. If I heal myself, my health is going to go up to 20,000. So just like that, I've got a 20,000 health bar, and I didn't have to change my food and sacrifice my mag recovery or my max mag pool. Okay, so that's the food, that's the potion, that's the armor, weights, the Breton race, and the attributes and the Mundus. So next, we've already talked about the Divine's gear. So let's talk about the jewelry. I recommend 3 pieces of Arcane jewelry, and you're going to want a gold amount if you can. This is a really, regardless of whether or not it affects your actual set piece, the main reason you're wanting to gold this out is so that you get a big max Magicka pool from the Arcane trait, and then it also, you want to get that glyph. Well, I guess the glyphs are separate, so that doesn't matter as much. But you want to get as much mag pooled as you can, and then the glyph that I use on the jewelry is the reduced Magicka cost jewelry. So how you make that? Let me get back on my craft build here real quick. Reduced Magicka cost. You need to use Itade, Makoma, and Kuda. And that will make it so your spells that cost Magicka no longer cost as much. So, for example, let me just show you the comparison here. I'll buy, let's just do the Grand Illustrious Healing here. Now, without the reduction cost jewelry on, this spell costs 3,510 Magicka. So now let me get on my build where my Magicka glyphs are on to reduce that cost. and now it only costs 23.21. Now the reason I do this instead of recoveries, this is extremely important. With recovery glyphs, recoveries only tick every 2 seconds. So the thing is if you run out of Magicka, I'll get back on my craft build once again. Should have planned this out a little bit better, but it is what it is. So if you get Magicka on here, you get 169 recoveries per glyph that you're going to use. So that's going to, if you have 3 of them, that's going to equate to 507 recoveries. Now, recoveries only tick once every 2 seconds. So you're going to get 253 recoveries per second, essentially, is what it equates to. Now, with the Magicka reduction cost, I'm getting 203 per piece. So that equates to 609 reduced Magicka cost. Now the thing about that is, I can cast a spell once every second. And so that's 609 every second equates to 1,218 Magicka recoveries by comparison. So it is much better to use Magicka cost reduction glyphs than it is to use recoveries. You can still build into recoveries in your build by all means by using the correct food and the correct race. As you can see here, I will pop a potion here and I will get my recovery spell there. As you can see, I'm sitting at 2765 recoveries, and that's without using Magicka recovery glyphs. So you can still get your recoveries super high. You just have to pay attention to how you're building and build correctly. So that's the jewelry and the glyphs. Now let's cover the weapons. Alright, the front bar. Always a powered restoration staff with a weapon damage glyph on the front bar. Don't put this on the back bar. You're going to be popping this on your front bar quite often. You can cast several spells to get this to pop, and also you can pull a heavy attack and pop this glyph. And you always want to have a powered glyph to increase your healing power. That's going to help you the most out of this. Don't sit there and think, oh, I'm going to be a crit healer. The critting is going to happen anyway, but you don't want to change your build to focus on crit healing, because you're going to have your regular healing suffer too greatly. Don't focus on the crit healing. It will happen just in passively. When you're using all light armor and everything, you've got your spell popped, your critical chance is up to 30%, and that's plenty high when you talk about all the heal over times that you're going to have. I mean, there's no reason to sacrifice having extra healing for a very small increased chance of crit healing. If you change this, for example, from a powered staff to a precise, you're only going to get 7% more chance to critically heal. It's not worth it. This is a much better and more powerful trait to use. Use this one. You're going to have a much easier time. For the back bar, I use an infused ice staff with a weakening glyph. And I will go over how to make these 2 glyphs as well. Perhaps I should just do all the glyphs, just so that's so you know how to make all the glyphs for the build. So really quickly, the weapon glyphs are really easy to do because they use the same first and third, or excuse me, second and third. You use Okori for the front bar with the Rapora. Okori stays. The only thing you need to change is the Rapora. The front bar is Rapora, and then if you want to make the back bar glyph, you use a Toddy, and that switches it to a weakening glyph. It's that simple. So the weapon glyphs are very similar to make. You just need to change that first glyph there. So to make the armor glyphs, the Magicka glyphs, you use Rapora, Mako, and Kuda. And then again, to make the, I think I already covered this, but I'll just do it one more time so it's all in one section. The Itade, Makoma, Kuda is for your jewelry glyphs. So those are the jewelry glyphs. Those are the front bar and back bar weapons. The reason I use an ice staff, I'll go over that really quickly. There's a couple of reasons. I know a lot of healers say, oh, I use a lightning staff. I understand it's easy to heavy attack on a lightning staff. Well, in truth, it's just as easy to heavy attack with an ice staff. The visual of it is just not as satisfying. It's got a big wind up before it fires off. But really, if you're going to hold, you can hold a heavy on, let me get on something that actually will proc a heavy attack here. Okay, so this build I'm running Stonetalker's Oath, so I'm going to go down here to my dummies to show you how quick the heavy attack action on this is. A heavy attack on a lightning staff is much longer. Boom, right there. The bomb is on him. So it literally just took a couple of seconds to get that bomb on him, and now it's going to explode. And there's the resource from Stonetalkers. Okay, so the reason I use an ice staff, let me get on my front bar here. Right now I'm on my front bar. This shows the block cost of 2,069 and a back bar mitigation of, or excuse me, a front bar block mitigation of 52%. So if I need to block something, this is not the bar I want to do it on. I want to do it on my back bar, and the reason is my block cost just dropped by almost 700. Then we also get 10% more damage that you can block. Well, that's not the only thing that happens. You can lay down a wall, and I have a shield on me now that lasts for 4 seconds, I believe it is. So that's another thing. This shield, it's not a huge one, but it is a damage shield that can help. It hits your group as well, that shield does. The other thing is when you lay down the wall like this snares any enemy that's in it, and it also will increase the chances of having a status effect proc on there. With an ice staff, you also block with Magicka rather than stamina. So like if I block something right now on my front bar, then it's going to cause me to use stamina. Well, my stamina pool, as you can see, is not very big. And if I'm running around roll dodging and everything, I might not have anything to block with. But if I block, or if I back bar, now I'm blocking with Magicka. I know I'm going to have Magicka because my pool for my Magicka is much larger. It's almost 3 times as big as my stamina pool. So that's very important to think about. You're going to block with Magicka, this is much better. Now your Magicka is going to shut off when you're blocking right here. But that's not that big of a deal because you're going to have a bigger pool to work with. And you also have a potion to give you Magicka back if you need to. It's just way better to have an ice staff on the back bar to block with Magicka, and then as I said, this increases your block and the amount of block you can increases your block ability, the amount of block you can have, and then also it reduces the cost of your blocking, and it gives you a damage shield as well. So that's my video on essentially how to build a healer, a rough overview of it. I'll go into specific class skill lines. Now this is again before subclassing is activated, so I'm only covering kind of the general how to build a healer. If you use these selections, then go pick out your classes and your abilities. Your build should work much better if you follow those tooltips there that I've explained in this video. I guarantee it. If you give this a try, you're going to notice a large improvement in how your build performs. I never have trouble when I'm set up like this, and I've healed several veteran trials, hard modes. I don't ever have trouble keeping people alive with this setup because I'm almost never out of resources. So try this out, see how it works for you. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, please check out some of my other videos on my channel. I have folders that kind of separate subjects and organize things so you can kind of focus on topics of, you know, how to farm things or how to build for a healer, or healer topics or trials, or even PvP builds, or even if crafting is your thing. I've got some crafting videos as well. Not too many yet, but I'm still working on that. But check out my channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll check you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.